Hello and welcome. This is rooflemonger. My friends, it's time for the final character of the Season 2 pass of Guilty Gear Strive, and that is Asuka R Kreutz, aka That Man. He has been a major character in the story of the franchise for decades at this point, but he's never been playable until now. And as you can see, he looks great. So not only do we have the trailer, and yes, we'll do a proper trailer breakdown, but we also have a little bit of gameplay thanks to GameSpot. So just from what you're seeing here, you can probably tell he's a pretty wild dude, right? So let's go over the trailer itself first, and then we'll go directly into the proper gameplay. So rewinding just a little bit, look at this cloak. You can see like the stars and the galaxy inside his cloak. That is actually super sick. And he's easily pulling off some magic here. He is the #1 sorcerer / magician in the Guilty Gear universe. Now this is very, very interesting because, well, his hair color, his color palette, his little eye patch thing all just changed color, and his name changed too. Now there needs to be some significance here, I'm sure, right? Asuka R Kreutz becomes Asuka Reload, just like say Guilty Gear Reload with the #R. Now what does it mean? I honestly couldn't tell you. Obviously it means something. Hopefully the plot significance will become clear in time. Clone, robot, who knows? Maybe he's just stuck on the moon at the end of Guilty Gear Strive story mode. He's stuck on the moon with the Tome of Origin, and maybe he just made like a simulacrum or something to send to Earth. I don't know, but something is different. Speaking of the Tome of Origin, it's right here in the intro, unlocking all of its secrets. In the context of Guilty Gear, it's a very powerful artifact, to say the least. Now for the tagline here, praying for the accumulation of goodwill. And any goodwill is immediately burned because he's a hyper zoner, y'all. He can fill the screen with all sorts of garbage, as is immediately apparent. And once we get to the gameplay proper, you're going to see how crazy that gets. And speaking of crazy, we got this little sequence right here. So after a clash of big boy normals, turns out he can just switch places with you. Moves like this are very, very silly. So if you want some silliness and frustrating your opponent, this looks like he's going to be the guy for it, especially what we're going to see later on. Now, of course, he has a lot of the basic building blocks, like this is a charged dust. Everyone has a charged dust. His just looks a little bit different. And once again, his ability to fill the screen with garbage seems very strong. Like these gigantic cubes that cover all angles. There's no way you're really avoiding that. He seems to be able to cause earthquakes to launch the opponent, which gets quick juggle. Looks like just slash into heavy slash. And yeah, he looks like high pressure, to say the least. Now there's this, and this is going to be very important when we get to the gameplay part, because by itself it doesn't mean much, but I believe this is actually like the core mechanic of the character. You could call it, say, a reload, or you could call it the heart of the cards. So from there, it looks like his basic throw, and it's pretty good. A lot of energy being used for a basic throw. And then there's this nonsense. So first a projectile, which you can apparently strike out as Nagoriyuki's doing, but then just like boss mode Eno, just filling the screen with absolute trash. If Happy Chaos's zoning is like red light, green light, and you just don't know when to go forward, this is like American Gladiators, and the Gladiators just throwing stuff at you. I think it's a very safe bet to call Asuka a zoner, considering what we're looking at. Now here, a bit more simplistic, just some basic combo structure, it looks like. Just some quick normals into maybe a special at the end here. A nice little cinematic of Asuka, and once again, the model, especially the cloak, I think just looks amazing. Looks fantastic. They outdid themselves on this one. And then we just see kind of the usual Guilty Gear fare here. We get a wall break, seeing some of the other normals we saw earlier. Here we have a jumping attack, maybe jump slash into jump dust, maybe? Who knows? And some sort of super, which we're going to cut away from, because of course, that's how they do the trailers. Now, the details. We'll know the normal specials all that more in time with proper detail. They'll probably do another trailer. But when is Asuka out? The 25th. That is not that far away. And thankfully, it's before the launch of Street Fighter 6. Let's get real. But there is even more to come, because we are getting another stage as well. Remember how I said Asuka's on the moon? We are getting the moon stage. So Asuka's moon base will be a playable stage. And it actually looks pretty sick, honestly. I like the whole aesthetic they're going with here. Starbase looking on the Earth and has like all the stuff he built, and also a free color for everyone. It's been so long. We've wanted colors for so long. We're getting free colors for everybody. About time. And if you don't dig the black and pink, you can also get esports green and esports orange, and those will be for sale though. Those won't be free, but at least it's something. Thank God there's more colors after all these years. And yes, this is the end of season 2, but as they've already confirmed, don't worry, season 3 is coming. I'd say expect an announcement on that, say, around Evo time in August. Now, as I said, we also have some proper gameplay thanks to GameSpot, and it helps put some context to some of the absurdity that we've seen out of Asuka's moveset, because he's hardly a simple character. In fact, on the website, he's rated as 1 out of 5 for ease of use, aka he is maximum difficulty to use. So to say the least, he's going to be a very tricky boy, not the least of which is, once we get into the match, look at the UI, because this is a very different UI. Look here in the player 1 corner, and what are you going to see here? Except this load of nonsense right out of the gate. So yeah, it's another separate meter on top of your attention, with also numbers, and also seemingly random items on the right. So in effect, it's a threefold mechanic. Also, his life bar has a weird border around it for reasons I am not fully determined just yet. So what is this whole meter about? Well, are you guys a fan of Magic the Gathering or Yu-Gi-Oh? Because I have a suspicion that's effectively what this is. In GameSpot's little blurb, they mention how Asuka is a master of 26 spells, and I think that's exactly what this is. He has 26 moves, of which it basically starts with a deck, if you will, of 26 cards, and then you randomly draw cards, aka spells, and go from there. So yeah, as it looks like, 26 special moves, and it's random what you get, and when you burn one of them, they disappear out of the bar, and you have to draw cards, as it were, to refill them, and the meter is your gauge, your ability to cast those spells. A mana meter, if you will. So starting a new round, a full deck of 26 as it were, and 4 random abilities. So these are the spells he gets to cast. So as the game starts here, we get the beginning of the round. He starts doing moves here, the first big move, and as you can see, now already he's lost 2 spell slots. Here, as we discussed earlier, he's drawing new cards to put into the deck to refill those spell slots. But all 4 of the spells are the same move right now. So as he casts it, giant analyze cube hits the enemy, move that glows red, that's refilling his mana meter, and then throws out another analyze cube because that's what he's got, and then once again draws more cards to refill the deck, as it were, and that seems to be how he works. He has a deck of cards, he has a mana meter to burn on the spells, and he has to draw more cards to get more spells. Asuka is a planeswalker basically for Magic the Gathering. So a very heavily randomized element to the game plan, just like Faust. Burn spells, draw cards, hope you get the ones that you wanted. And he can also plant his staff on the stage that will remain as like an item. Now, as for the details of exactly how that works, I'm not too sure just yet, but obviously it does something. We got gameplay, sure, but we don't exactly have a lot of details right now. That will come shortly, I'm sure. Just all in all though, very, very, very interesting mechanic. I can see why he's rated as a hard character to use. It's definitely not standard fighting game fare. And we can see more of the stage in the background as well, the new stage. It looks great. I love this new stage. Now, we can see here, he does start a round with 26 cards, but he can do a move here that resets the clock with that little purple bit, and he is now at 30. So there's ways to regain cards so you don't deck yourself, I guess, in trading card terms. Also ways to manage the gauge itself, as you can see here, after this move coming up. What he'll do will basically refill the mana gauge, and then you can just keep going, keep slinging those spells. Elsewhere in the footage, if the gauge depletes in full, then you can't cast spells until the lockout timer is done. And as for the spells, we get a good idea of what's going on here. Lots of projectiles for sure, all sorts of cubes, flaming cubes, regular cubes, teleports. It's a veritable arsenal to be sure. There's just so many unknowns now. This is extra wild. Like, Guilty Gear goes crazy, sure, but like, this is really something else. There's a lot to go through with this character. Once again, launches on the 25th, so it's not like it's going to be a mystery for long, but just seeing a lot of this stuff That's absolutely wild. Really interested in seeing how everything works for this character. That all said though, for the moment, that's our first look at Asuka in Guilty Gear Strive. Long awaited, and I think they've definitely done him justice. So hopefully more on the character soon enough. But until then, your trailer and your gameplay breakdown, that's it for now. So thank you very much for watching. Hope this video has found you well, and go out and play some Guilty Gear.